Hello, YouTube. This is Old School with WhatTheBuck.net. Going to do a quick little OTA review for you and get you a couple little updates with regards to what's going on with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and especially today, which is FanFest Day over at Raymond James Stadium. So if you're a local Bucs fan, you should probably try and schedule to get down there about 4:30. They're going to have a bunch of the players out there. They're going to have chalk talks with the coaches, all sorts of games for the kids. I think it goes from about 4:30 till, I don't know, 9. It's a long schedule. They've got all the information up on Buccaneers.com. And, again, it's all free. You go there, get your tickets and vouchers and stuff, and that lets you get your autographs and your pictures with the players. There'll be a lot of players out there. Gerald McCoy, Josh Freeman, Donald Penn, in fact, will be there as well. A lot of the players have a chance to get to see the team and really kind of get into football spirit as we get closer and closer to the mandatory mini camps, which start next week, and then training camp, which will be coming up, in a few short weeks here too, which will make football fans like myself very, very happy. Now, we were fortunate enough Thursday night to have Scott Reynolds from the Pewter Report on our show, and Scott, as part of the official and blessed media, was able to attend certain sessions of the OTAs, right? So the off-season training activities, which are non-mandatory, but it is generally speaking in your best interest to be there. The press can go to apparently 2 of the 4 sessions in a given day, and so Scott's team was out there for different sessions watching what was going on. We heard reports from various sources, including his, about some things that are probably of interest to Bucs fans out there. First and foremost, the draft picks all look good. Now, when you look at the draft picks, it's kind of hard to see what's going to happen with defensive line guys, especially when they're quote-unquote non-contact drills. There's going to be some contact, but there's no pads. It's not full contact. And when you're talking about the big guys, you really can't tell what they're going to do until they start hitting people. That's when the real proof comes out. But from a technique perspective, guys look good. We got Gerald McCoy back after the little hip strain. We got Price. Couldn't be there because of the UCLA's on the quarter system. But what we saw earlier in him from a conditioning perspective looked good. And with the rotation that we see going on with Styles White and Kyle Moore at the ends, those 2 guys slotted right now as the starting front 4. Roy Miller getting some time in there as well. It should be very, very interesting to see what happens on that defensive line. Now, the other thing we've got is Raheem Morris coming into the year, obviously taking over as defensive coordinator as well as head coach, which he did towards the end of last season. And already in OTAs, you're seeing a lot of blitzing, a lot of different looks from the corner, from the safety, from the linebacker positions, which are giving the offense some fits. Now, on the offensive line, that's going to be even more difficult with Donald Penn still not signed. That's gotten to be a very ugly situation down here in Tampa Bay. I got embroiled in the middle of it by recording a session that apparently was not supposed to be recorded. I made that mistake as a non-journalist. I guess I screwed up. I've apologized as profusely as I plan to. But the fact of the matter is Donald Penn isn't signed. Donald does not harbor any ill will, I don't believe, towards the team or towards the fans, certainly because he's coming to FanFest, but I think as a Buccaneers fan, we need him in there. It's fun to talk about the fat guy and he gained weight and he sucks, but the fact is he stoned a bunch of really good rush ends last year, and we haven't got shit behind him. As opposed to the wide receiver position, where another sort of lightning rod on the Bucs is Michael Clayton. Michael Clayton has worn out his welcome with a lot of people, right? It's not an indictment of him as a person. It's just he looks good in training camp. He seems to practice pretty well, and then he gets on the field and he can't get anything done. The interesting piece is in OTAs, the words are he's not really performing that well now in practice. And if the guy can't perform well in practice and he can't perform well in the game, then I don't care how much money you've already got in him. It's time to get out of that investment. And I know that he's got about $7 million of that $10 million already gone. That $3 million is, I believe, guaranteed as well. But at this point, I don't know if you want to take up a roster spot when you've got some young talent out there and some guys that are unproven, which was purportedly the reason they dumped a bunch of the veterans a couple of years ago to give guys like Geno Hayes and Quincy Black and Adam Hayward a chance to step up. I think you could say the same thing for a guy like Michael Clayton, who may need a new scenery, and we're not going to get anything for him. So I think cut may be the only option. And the feeling is that his roster spot is definitely in jeopardy. But we'll see if that's true come training camp and see what he does in training camp. But like I said, having been to training camp for a number of years, he typically performs very well there. It's just when it comes down to putting on the jersey and going to the big lights. Now, on the offensive side of the ball, from a skill position perspective, Greg Olsen coming in the year as the offensive coordinator, implementing his playbook. I was very concerned. All I had heard was this is essentially Gruden's playbook. Now, it's not that I have anything against Gruden's playbook. I don't have anything against the West Coast offense in general. But we were going away from that. The fans didn't like it. It didn't produce the numbers that people wanted, so we were going to go to a more vertical attack. And then to go draft a quarterback like Josh Freeman, who I'm still getting shit for because I said it was a bad draft pick, even though since then I've said he's a Bucs player, I'll support him, and I've given him all the credit in the world for the things he's done well. He's not a West Coast guy. He's not a high accuracy guy. He's a big arm guy. He's a lot of different characteristics that are not necessarily suited to the West Coast offense. Greg Olsen came out this week. It was explaining that it's not just a West Coast offense. It's got a basis in the West Coast offense, but it's got some of the Mart-style vertical game as well. So we'll see how that looks. They're starting to do the installations, and apparently Greg Olson's very happy with where they're at. He came out in the press this week and said that he was very happy with what they've been able to get implemented. The concern that I have coming in right now is from guys like Scott and the guys that are watching OTAs, the accuracy is still suffering. Now, the target in OTAs, where there's no contact, is to be at about 70% completion rate. Now, the quarterback's aggregate right now, according to Scott Reynolds from Pewter Report, is about 67%. You're not far off that 70%, but you're also going against no contact. Right, these are passes that should be completed, and either they're on the quarterback or they're on the receiver for dropping it, unless you're giving a lot of credit to our defensive backs. So that's a quick overview of the OTAs. FanFest again today at 4:30. A bunch of the What the Buck crew will be out there having a good time with the Bucks. Hopefully you enjoyed this thing. Give us a comment, let us know what's going on. We're still on the air Thursday nights at 7 or 7:30. We put posts out at whatthebuck.net. We'd love to see you over there if you get a chance. Until next time, I'll see you, YouTube.